And that shouldn't be a problem. Thank you very much. And first of all, I'm fairly new to the ATSC process and very new to S-36. I actually was hoping to come and learn more about S-36, so Adam said, well, I'm going to be out, so why don't you present the slides? You're going to have to learn something that way. So if we do have questions, the fellow S-36 members are probably going to be better people at answering them. Let's see. Do I go this way? There we go. So we're working off of what we've done in the past, of course. We don't want to throw that out. In ATSC 1, we had conditional access as the primary portion of it. And we used the standard for DVB, and as you can read on the slides, this also enabled encrypted services. And there was no provision for broadband connectivity with that. In the future, we do expect to see support for subscription, pay-per-view, video on demand. We, of course, are going to be including broadband communications. Since there's applications, we're looking at how we support security on those applications and what does that mean. And also when we have multiple screens between the main and secondary screen. Please note carefully, we're in our very early stages on this. We have not made technology choices at this point to provide a candidate standard. We've got our draft, we've got our internal draft of what we're planning on covering on this. So the following slides are mostly working ideas, and we're still discussing a number and evaluating a number of alternatives and ways that we could approach this. One of the things that we're looking at is the difference between conditional access and DRM. I'm depending on this slide. Conditional access is how we covers from the broadcast, this origination of the service to the receiver itself. We see as DRM primarily covering what happens with the content once it's at the device. So in ATSC 1.0, it was specified a common scrambling, envelopes for keys and entitlements. There was an interface to security hardware, but it did not specify what particular conditional access system to use. We'll probably take a very similar approach going forward. Conditional access, and this was actually new. I'm learning things. So conditional access includes subscriptions, pay-per-view, and video on demand. Content delivered via the ISO-based media file format. And we're looking at using common encryption, ISO standards for this so that we'll actually specify what it is that we do. Left unspecified will be the various tasks. What is the security around a key? What is the distribution of the key? How do you decide entitlement? Billing, customer relationships, that's really a business model between the provider and the customer. We'll provide the tools. The providers will need to will provide the ecosystem, how they use the tools. On digital rights management, it talks about what can be done with the content once it's been received at the receiver. We have home networks. How is it secured on the home network? Is there a second screen? Is it allowed to be shown on the second screen? We are probably not going to specify any particular DRM, but there may be limits to the DRM choices that providers can use on if they're combining it with a conditional access system. As I said, I'm learning from this slide as well. We're not likely to define the framework itself. We'll provide several existing network frameworks. Now, one of the things that we've noticed is that some providers of DRM are saying that in specific applications, their DRM may also provide conditional access capabilities as well as specific DRM capabilities. I don't think we've made any decision on that. I'm sure we'll provide a separate conditional access capability as well. Now, we're getting to the thoughts of the remainder of the pieces, some of the new pieces. Certificate management. We'll certainly have certificate management. We expect to provide certificate validation, revocation checks, possibly even using online certificate status protocols and other protocols. We expect to specify root certificate requirements, some capability for doing secure certificate storage and certificate update. We're wrestling with how can you securely update certificates in a broadcast-only environment? Can we even do that? So we're wrestling with that one. In the broadband environment, it's quite clear that we'll be able to update certificates using many of the certificate update processes. We expect to specify for our transport layer security, it's mostly greenfield implementation. We expect to disallow the old and insecure versions because of that. Probably will require TLS 1.2 or later. We may also specify specific cipher suites on that so that we have specific ranges to do that. We're exploring whether the domain name system security extensions will have any applicability here. So at this point, we have not a requirement, but we're not sure where we're going with that one. So we're exploring that. As I said, we also have applications, and in applications, there are layers of security that we can have around applications. If someone supplies an unsigned application, an application that we cannot say came from cannot go through the certificate chain to decide to verify that it came from a secure source, we may only allow limited functionality of that application. Conversely, if there's a cryptographically signed application, we could certainly allow it to have far greater interaction with the rest of the system and much greater functionality. So that's a quick overview of where we are. As I said before, we're working on our draft outline for what we're going to do. So in the next couple of months, there'll be a lot more detail for this. And as I'm new to this, and the other part of this is I came from the IT side, so I'm learning many of these ATSC broadcast features as we go along. And so I think that that's an interesting place to be. Please talk to me and my colleagues and Adam when you see him later today and tomorrow.